Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about homeowner 81 who fatally shot innocent Uber driver, thought she was tied to scammer, threatening him for $12K. So recently I got an email from one of my subscribers. BC, thank you so much for emailing me about this and making this video possible. This has become quite an interesting story to stumble upon, especially with how things developed from the point at which you sent this to me on the 16th of April to today, because quite honestly, I am horrendously disappointed with a lot of the parties involved in this. So with that said, we are talking about everything that is being said in this article and in this email. What BC is saying, what happened during this event versus how it actually is, and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started with the email. Why you need a dash cam. For the time your customer thinks you're a criminal and decides to shoot you. You also provided a link to this story via the Washington Post. And the funny thing about what happens when you click on that link, it brings you straight back to the Washington Post website. Not the article, just WashingtonPost.com. And if you looked for that article within the Washington Post, let's say Uber shot, the latest story on that was in June of 2023, which means not only did they write the article, they had to take it down, whether it's a cover-up, whether it's because somebody paid somebody to say less on something, who knows? Maybe they had a lot of hot takes on the subject, and because of the way those hot takes were, they had to take it down. Either way, the New York Post was more than willing to talk about this. So we're going to go over the New York Post version of this. An 81-year-old West Virginia man who allegedly fatally shot an innocent Uber driver after they both were scammed said he'd been warned that he and his family would be unalived unless he paid $12,000. How exactly did this happen? How exactly did somebody get threatened for $12,000? And if you're gonna threaten to unalive somebody, why only $12,000? Like, it's not that high of a number. Also, you unalived somebody. You went all the way from West Virginia to Ohio to unalive somebody. How sick is that? Chilling 911 audio obtained by Inside Edition revealed more details about the March 25th shooting, which left 61-year-old Lothea Hall dead and William Brock behind bars on a murder rap. So to be clear, the Uber driver died and William Brock is behind bars. And the Washington Post decided, hey, you know, instead of talking about and revealing the huge issue and the discrimination that is against gig workers as a whole, we're just gonna keep this real quiet. I mean, no one wants to like gig workers anymore, right? I need the sheriff and an ambulance real quick out here. There's been a shooting, he told the operator. I shot her in the leg the first time and then I shot her in the shoulder, the octogenarian says, adding that he targeted her because he had been threatened by a stranger on the phone. First off, if you're anything like me and you heard the word octogenarian and didn't know what that meant, that is a person whose age is between 80 and 89. Just to put that out there, put your mind at ease with that. Second, you had been threatened by a stranger and immediately thought it was a gig worker. Do you know how effed up that is as a whole? Not to mention the whole racial thing and all that, which could have also been a part of it, but you literally assumed it was an Uber driver, drove from West Virginia to Ohio to end this person's life because some douchewaffle gave you a call. Guy on the phone trying to get money out of me, Brock says. He was telling me he was gonna unalive me and the family and everybody else around. So wait a second. The guy on the phone, he was telling me he was going to unalive you. He. Why did you assume it was a chick in Ohio that was driving for Uber? Do you know how screwed up that sounds? And how that could potentially be just a bunch of nonsense? For $12,000? The scammer told Brock that a relative had been incarcerated and ordered him to pay $12,000 to secure his release, the police have said. Brock told the operator that he assumed assumed the death threat scammer was working with Hall, who had been tricked by the same scammer and could be heard in the call, pleading for help after being shot. You assume that somebody who got that scam, who fell for that scam, who, by the way, how did you fall for that scam? That's a different point, is also in on the scam, which, okay, I guess I could kind of see the reasoning, like wolf in sheep's clothing kind of deal, but at the same time, you just went to Ohio to have the... What? People in this world don't make sense anymore, man. Investigators have reportedly tracked the scammer's call to Canada, but believe he made it using a burner phone. Or, you know, those Canadians aren't as nice as people give them credit for. Just saying. The driver had also been contacted by the same person or an accomplice, instructing her through the Uber app to pick up a package for a delivery from Brock's home. The Clark County Sheriff's Office said. Wait a second. The driver had been contacted by the same person or an accomplice to pick up from Brock's home through the Uber app. You see, first off, that's only possible with UberConnect. Another great reason to not use UberConnect, because this can happen. Second, this reminds me of one of those stories where, like, a third party who got pissed off by both people stirred up crap with both people only to send them fighting with each other. Like, that's what this reminds me of. Only it ended in someone's death. When she arrived, Brock allegedly ordered her to identify the person who contacted her and grabbed her phone as he refused to let her leave. Okay, we're talking about murder, but are we also talking about kidnapping, too? Shocking dashcam video captured from Hall's car shows Brock approaching her while pointing a revolver at her. When she tried to get in her vehicle and leave, he allegedly struggled with her and shot her dead. Hall was rushed to Miami Valley Hospital, where she died during surgery. First of all, tragic as hell. That is just absolutely tragic. Second, where is this happening? Because I heard Ohio woman, West Virginia man, and Miami Hospital. Like, which is it? Where are you when this happened? Also, why did the Washington Post feel need to delete this article? This is huge news. Are they really trying to cover up the criminal activity that badly? As long as a gig worker is considered the victim and not the criminal? That's just outright discrimination. Hall, suffering from medical conditions and unarmed, made no threats or assaults towards Mr. Brock and made no demands, other than to ask about the package she was sent to retrieve through the Uber app. A sheriff's office spokesperson who told WHIO in a statement. In other words, Brock or an accomplice asked Hall to pick up a package through the Uber app. How did you even know she would accept that order? Like, how did you know that she would say yes to that? Like, I feel like the whole scammer thing is just an outright lie, because it sounds to me like he just discriminated against her. This isn't physically possible in the app. Maybe that's why the Washington Post deleted it, because it's false information. Cannot choose your drivers that way. At what period of time did she say that's what happened to her? All she did was ask about a package when she showed up. This is why you don't do those kind of orders on this app. Because if it goes straight to a customer's home and you're picking up a package, you can literally just be offed right there and then. I know that the common argument is that you're a mule for drugs at that point, but that's not even what happened here. That chick was literally trapped. Due to there being no active threat presented by Mrs. Hall at any time during the encounter, and Mr. Brock's failure to contact authorities for assistance while brandishing a firearm, which he fired at and struck Ms. Hall multiple times. He was arrested and charged with murder, the rep added. Okay, so let's get this right. Mr. Brock was threatened to pay off $12,000 for something he had no idea about. He allegedly trapped Mrs. Hall via UberConnect with a package he didn't have, which apparently they had a other's form of relationship because of that, because apparently she was also threatened on the subject, which she could have been a wolf in sheep's clothing to you, and you decided to just execute her for that. You see, that's some bull crap. That is some straight discrimination here. And honestly, I love how people will literally say that there's no discrimination in this country, or they will fight for that for all end, and then they will see stuff like this happen. They will literally make something like this happen and then completely erase the evidence on the subject, making it seem like we're the crazy ones, even though we literally have proven that over and over again. Brock has pleaded guilty to murder and his bail was set at $200,000. The Clark County Sheriff's Office would like to take the opportunity again to remind residents, especially our older citizens, that no law enforcement agency or court will make contact with anyone in the matter of this case to solicit cash or for bail, the office told CBS News in a statement. It urged residents to use extreme caution when being contacted unexpectedly by subjects claiming to be relatives incarcerated in a correctional facility. Would you not know if a relative is incarcerated or not? I am not gonna pretend like my family and I have the best relationship, but I would know if I had like a uncle in prison or something. I know my sister should be in prison, but that's not the point. But the point is, if you fall for that, you only have yourself to blame. And under no circumstances does that justify unaliving somebody. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. Honestly, I think the whole, like, potentially getting scammed out of $12,000 is total nonsense, because logistically, it just doesn't make sense. First off, how did you know she was also being threatened with that $12,000 thing when it seems like this would be the only time you would meet each other? Why is your first response to point a gun at somebody, assuming they're the person who is picking up a $12,000 anything? Is that the package that she was supposed to pick up, a $12,000 payment of some sort? And is this guy so old to not understand how Uber works that she's just a random Uber driver? I just have so many questions on the logistics of this that I don't even think it's all that possible. Like, here's the only way I can imagine this being the case. The guy threatened him for $12K, right? He then requested an UberConnect delivery to pick up from him to the supposed scammer. She gets to the pickup location not even knowing what's in the package. She doesn't even know that she's being used for a crime. So she then is being threatened with a gun, like, oh my god, what's going on? And suddenly she's on the wrong end of a bullet. And the scammer gets off scot-free because, hey, no one knows who he is anyway. And why isn't Uber helping with this investigation if that's the case? Like, shouldn't you be able to identify those kind of scammers if something like this happens? Why hasn't there been any notice on that? They haven't reached out to them at all. And why did the Washington Post write a full article on this and then make it disappear? Is that what we're doing? We're just covering up these scams? We're just supporting the deaths of gig workers everywhere? In my opinion, it is irresponsible to work on UberConnect because you don't know if what is in that package, and you have no idea if you're going to even come home after that. Because seriously, what the actual hell? Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.